The wind curled off Lake Jasibai, whispering across the granite slabs of a long-forgotten burial ground. Nestled in the shadow of the Bayanaul Hills in modern Kazakhstan, Shoendykol had once echoed with the voices of shepherds, warriors, and ritual singers. People of the steppe whose stories survive only in stone and soil. Among the scattered bones of two civilizations, one grave in particular tells the story of a man known to us only as I-10112. Over 3,000 years ago, around 1500 BCE, he lived and died in a world shaped by migration, metallurgy, and sky gods. His people were the Andronovo, semi-nomadic herders who ranged across the central Eurasian steppe, part of a broader phenomenon that would one day sow the seeds of Indo-European language across half the world. They were not the first to bury their dead at Shoendykol. Earlier still, the Alexivka Sargari culture had built rectangular mortuary enclosures of massive granite slabs, encasing their dead in stone boxes, as if to anchor their souls to the land. But by the time I-10112 was laid to rest, the site had changed. His people did not use the granite fences. They dug deep into the ground, creating subsurface graves, a practice that reflected both practicality and changing spiritual worldviews. His burial pit was simple: no gold, no carved idol or polished weapon. Yet the silence it held spoke of great transition, a world caught between ancient ritual and emerging empires of bronze and wheel. He was genetically male, confirmed thousands of years later through DNA taken from the petrous portion of his skull. His genome bore the imprint of ancestors from both west and east. Yamnaya steppe herders, whose lineage carried the R1A1A1BY haplogroup, and a blend of European Neolithic farmers, whose influence extended deep into the Bronze Age heartlands. His mitochondria, carried through his mother's line, likely traced to U2E or U4, haplogroups common among Andronovo women and their Western forager kin. He stood genetically at the nexus of ancient continents. The Andronovo people were cattle herders and horse users, and I-112 likely grew up knowing the rhythm of hooves and the tang of wood smoke. The domestication of the horse and invention of the spoked wheel had revolutionized movement on the steppe, allowing his people to follow herds, trade with distant clans, and even wage war. It was during this era that chariot warfare first rolled into history. And while no chariot parts were buried with him, it is possible that he had seen one, ridden one, or feared one. His diet would have come from livestock, grains, and dairy, though his bones, had they been studied isotopically, might have told of harsh winters, lean seasons, or years of plenty. Perhaps he was a clan elder, buried with honor. Perhaps he was young and taken too soon. The grave goods do not tell us. They were modest, perhaps even absent, as was typical in many Andronovo burials. The power of his identity lay not in wealth, but in belonging to his people, his land, and the sacred circle of death and return. Shoendykol itself was sacred, chosen generations earlier by the Alexivka Sargari for its proximity to water and stone. It remained a spiritual locus into the late Bronze Age. Even though burial styles had changed, memory had not. The Andronovo dug graves among the granite fences, perhaps deliberately. To lay their dead where ancestors lay was a tether to the past. I-1012's DNA, recovered millennia later, became part of a larger revelation. Scientists sequencing genomes from across Eurasia identified in him the telltale genetic signatures of Indo-European expansion. His people had not been static. They were the conduits of language, livestock, and metallurgy, movers of cultural tectonics. From their footsteps, linguistic kin would rise in Persia, India, and Europe. And though I-112 himself left no written word, his genome spoke volumes of migrations, admixture, and enduring lineages. He died, as all men do, but in the silence of Shoendykol, he was not forgotten. Under a pale sky, on the windswept edge of a Kazakh lake, a burial pit held not just a man, but a chapter in the story of humanity. When his bones met the soil, the earth remembered.